Frothies back again, Daggy and Barney with you from the Gums to discuss round 5. Some of the carnage that went on during round 5. Also got our special guest here, Brent, Panthers fan.
How you going,
who's another ring in this week. What's happening, mate?
Oh, not a lot. Speaking of the carnage, though, geez, I don't think I've seen that many injuries in a round in I don't know how long.
Yeah, every game had some, which we'll get to shortly. But it was, yeah, pretty hectic. Throwing some suspensions, and everyone's Supercoach teams are going to shit, and everyone else is panicking. So, hey, it's been an interesting weekend, leading to more rugby league chaos. Very quickly, your footy background, Panthers fan, as we said, but tell us a bit about your footy playing and watching history.
My personal footy playing is only one season of under 10s. Penrith Warrrios represent. What was that? What was that, about 30 years ago? But
about that.
But yeah, no, avid Panthers fan. Been a member there for the last 15 years. So.
Beautiful. Obviously, it's been a real tough last 4 years or so for you.
Yeah, extremely tough. Extremely tough. You know, the 10 years leading up before that, though, that was cruisy as.
Yeah. And the only reason you've come on is to whinge about last week, I know. So see what happens. They already start coming out of the woodwork. But
100%. But
anyway,
you know, before we even get to that, you still can't deny that Daly Cherry Evans on his 310th game, he was on.
Yeah,
he was on. Anyway, we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that. And favourite player over the years?
Luke Lewis is still top of my list. Always has been, always will be. Would have been a one-club man, but forces...
Politics.
Yeah, politics, all the things unbeknown. He had to move on, but yeah.
And any other... What else do you usually ask here, Barney? Is that it? You usually do this part. Got what else?
Yeah, no, just basically you've followed Panthers since you were a little fella? Always been your side?
Look, I followed Panthers up until Super League time.
Okay.
And then I changed over to the Newcastle Knights.
Right.
Stay loyal to the NRL?
ARL at the time, and I was actually living in Newcastle at the time. So I was a Panther fan for 1991, and I was a Newcastle fan for 97 and 2001. And then in 02, I went, you know what, I'm coming back to Penrith. And
good timing.
Yeah, so I've seen all their premierships.
Yeah.
Between
premierships in between there. Yeah, nice.
Exactly right. Any takeaways? Hello, David, but ask you first. Hello, how are you? What's news?
Oh, yeah, you know, work's always awesome. But I'm here. Get to look at your lovely head for a couple of hours and talk about 8 games of footy. So always good. Love it. As you said, the absolute chaos over the weekend. There's some teams that are going to be some very different looking team lists coming this week. So yeah, it's a real interesting time of the year for the footy.
Yeah, I spent the weekend down in beautiful Tumut. It's not quite the town it was the last time we were there. I think COVID did a number on it, and a little bit quieter than usual. It's still a lovely town, and 5 pubs in a space of about 300 metres, so that's always convenient too. So nice enough weekend. Got to see most of the games. Some might be hazy, but you're always here to cover my ass with that. That's fine.
Anyone get put in the bad boy corner for the weekend?
Nah, everyone's pretty good. Jungle's... it was about 12 beers deep before midday, so how he kept going was something of beauty, but they're all too old to back up now. They're all just soft. No one comes out on a Saturday night. So
yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, it was what it was. Let's get to some of this carnage. Very quickly to say, Vale thoughts with the friends and family of Keith Barnes, former Australian and Brisbane Balmain captain. Obviously, long-time administrator as well, one of the Balmain greats, passed away 89, so I don't think, unfortunately, any of us here can really do justice to his career. We'd have to find someone to better do him justice, but some very nice stuff written and said across all the media today, so thoughts of him. Let's look at these injuries, hey? This is a very quick list, and there's probably some I've missed. So we've got Zach Labert, ACL, gone for the season. Walker and Teddy, both out this week, HIA. Kieran Foran's off for ankle scans. I didn't notice if he's been named or not, but...
He was in a fair bit of trouble for big parts of the game.
Great.
Yeah.
Adam Reynolds, hamstring. Looked like he's going to be out for a few weeks. Rapana came off. I thought it was his season. We all did, actually.
Yeah, his knee did not look good. I cringed at the sight of it.
He might just have ugly knees, is what
this is
But
true.
he went back on, and he's being assessed this week. Corey Hallsworth scans as well on a leg injury. Tigers have lost Bateman and Fainu, HIA, for their 11 days. Latu Fainu with a hammy.
Yep.
Flegler and Farnsworth, both AC joints out for some time. Though Flegler has been named, so we'll see how bad he is. Kafusi did his hamstring as well, so he's missing this week. Jerome Luai came off quite early with a knee problem. Henry and Garrick, both HIAs. Blake Taff, HIA. Kurt Mann broke his hand. Connor Tracy, a calf injury, but named this week. Chris Patalo did his shoulder. Harrison Edwards did a neck injury. Tyson Rizal hamstring. And Lachlan Ilias snapped his leg in half, which was not pleasant viewing, that one.
I missed that, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah, I heard it was pretty brutal.
Pretty rough. He's looking at 6 months on the sideline to get that all sorted. And
I reckon he probably would have got a call up this weekend as well.
That's a whole different. That's a whole different kettle of fish. That's just the ones I quickly found in a whip through. But I think there's more on top of that I may have missed. Rough times all across all the games.
Well, back on the Rapana, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
He's been listed as out for the week.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, well, he spent probably 5 minutes there when he did come back on the field trying to put his knee back into place.
It didn't look pretty, did it?
He was bashing it around there, but he managed to join in and set up a try after that. So, yeah.
Judiciary news. What have we got here, Kurt? Donu, 2 matches. Dom Young, 2 matches for his high shot.
Which, I don't know if that's enough.
For Young?
For Dom Young, yes. I don't know if that's enough. That was a bit brutal.
What do you think of that? I
It's pretty forceful the way the arm was swung through. Obviously, doesn't help the fact that Taff was about 4 foot off the ground when the collision was made. But it was directly on the jaw. He's probably lucky he doesn't have a broken jaw, to be honest, with the force that he was hit with, and to instantly go out like that. It was pretty solid contact.
It was cringing to see, like when they picked up his arm and it just flopped. Like he was out cold.
We saw a bit of that too, didn't we, this week? Teddy was flash out. Walker wasn't much better. It was a ugly round. Just a bit of advice here. Don't try and stop Billy kick out with your face.
Yeah, definitely not a good idea.
We've learned that. Latrell Mitchell, 3 matches. I thought was very lucky to stay on the field on both occasions. I think...
I don't know how he didn't get a 10-minute sin bin.
I think there's at least been possibly 2.
Look, I didn't see that particularly. I've seen the after effects, but I didn't see it live. But looking at the Dom Young one, and to be sent from the field, how Latrell Mitchell still stayed on the field, I don't know.
I agree. I thought at least had been... I thought more so for which he didn't get charged for, the up and under.
Hand between the legs.
That's been sent so many times. He's taken his 3 matches. What do we make of... And I don't really want to open the South. We may as well just open the South basket now, but what do we make of what's happened for Charlie? I think every game there's been an incident. We've had the swearing thing. He's gone with his knees into a car. He had a swinging arm, which he got off on another one. There was... there's always the... flops and shit in the play of the ball that he never seems to get picked up on, that some other teams in, orange and black or white and blue would get penalised for in the ruck. There's lots of other shit that he seems to get away with, and that's the perception.
He's been mouthing off a lot too the last couple of weeks at different players. Sometimes his own players, but the opposition a fair bit as well. He's obviously doesn't seem like he's in the right headspace at the moment to be playing football. I said at the time, like with that elbow, I expected 4 to 6 weeks as a penalty. That was intentional, and he hit the bloke in the throat. How he stayed on the field, I've got no idea. You can't tell me he did not mean to do that.
Yeah.
I could understand if he'd thrown a palm out and palmed him in the face or something. That's a whole different story. But he cocked his elbow and hit the bloke in the throat, and then went, oh, fuck, and tried to cuddle him and sort of hide it and get to the ground. Like, it's just... for mine, I thought he would have got sent for that, to be honest. But minimum 10 minutes, I thought it should have been, and 4 to 6 weeks, and then add a week on top for the spear tackle. I think he's lucky not to be missing 6 or 7 weeks, to be honest.
Yeah, but honestly, after the way he carried on last year as well, you think you're getting on in your age. It's time to start smartening up, but he doesn't seem to be. He just keeps doing the same stuff every week.
It's starting to feel, like the naughty kid in the class that just keeps getting away with it.
Yeah.
And so it's, and generally when it comes back to that, it's a cry for attention or it's whatever it is. There's obviously to me, there's now a deeper issue than whether he just doesn't want to be there is probably the bigger issue. I don't know, but when it's a pattern of behaviour, if he was a, 8-year-old boy, you'd be sending him off to have a looked at, behavioural issues and stuff like that, because from a cry for attention point of view. And I felt like that straight out, and I said as much after the interview with all the swearing. So I could see that he's made a conscious decision to make sure no one puts a microphone in his face for the rest of the year, or he needs someone to tap on the shoulder and maybe just ask if he wants a hug or something. I don't know.
There's no strong leadership in that club at the moment.
I think that's the most apparent thing.
You can see it. Demetrio comes out and goes, "Oh yeah, a couple of silly things" in the press conference. That's his time to stand on his digs and go, "That was unacceptable. It was stupid," and he probably deserves a month on the sidelines. I don't know if Murray's been told not to say anything or what, but he just sort of fluffs about and goes, "Oh, yeah," in the press conferences. I think they need to look at someone like a Damien. I think Damien Cook would probably be the best option there for them as a captain, because he's pretty forthright in the way he speaks, and I don't think I'm pretty sure he'd be pulling him in the line by now.
Spoilers, he's not even picked this week. They've dropped him.
I was going to say he was benched last week, wasn't he?
Really?
He's 18th man this week.
So what does that say to
that's
you?
my next question.
So he's probably offside with the
But
hierarchy in the
here's the
club.
thing
then,
that
by the
is-
sounds of it.
Maybe he's the one saying the things that
Probably
they don't
is.
want to hear. So
You know what that screams to me is there gets to a stage when a coach is about to be sacked, which is where we're heading, let's be honest, that they, and obviously I've been through, I've followed a club I do, I've seen enough coaches be sacked over years. There gets to a stage where it's just very apparent they don't actually know what the answer is. And when you start dropping an Origin hooker and you start doing other stuff, just dropping your halfback 3 rounds in, it just seems to me that he doesn't actually know what the answer is.
No, absolutely
This
not.
is just now clutching at straws.
And they're trying to stick with, obviously, Walker and the combination with Latrell and those guys in there. But it just astounds me. Like you saw with the media, they were chasing the players around on Monday for a comment. And I saw Cook 3 or 4 times turn to talk. Like he was about to turn around and say what he wanted to say, but he sort of shut himself up and put his head back down and kept walking. But
I wonder if
somebody needs to come out and fucking talk about exactly what's going on in that
Well,
place.
I believe that's what Sam Burgess did, and then turned around and said, "Well, if this is how you're going to keep running the place, you can fuck off. Like you're wasting everyone's time going somewhere else." He might have had the balls to do it, but obviously he didn't want to upset people along the way. The snowball in the media today is Wayne Bennett's back on the radar. Now he's moving on, and Wayne Bennett was the only one that really had the connection there with Latrell and Cody, I guess, had the key to them at that time, but he's about to turn 80, so I don't know if there is a straight-up answer. Bennett's obviously a Band-Aid. Maybe it's someone they can get in as for a year, but, if you're going to get rid of this coach, you either got to buy next week, I believe, which tends to be the time the coaches get sacked, so they've got 2 weeks to start again, but I don't know who's out there. Madge won a comp with them a decade ago, but he's doing New South Wales. Whether he wants to walk into that hornet's nest, who knows? Having just come from the Tigers, who knows?
He was asked about it and he didn't say no, so that's another opportunity there. But I think that something needs to change within the player ranks. There needs to be, they need to be holding each other accountable before anything else happens. So
that's what it reeks of the most. There's no one there that just grabs them and says, "Fucking wake the fuck up and let's play footy." And I think when the 2 best players sort of have that aura where they can't be talked to, I guess it's hard for everyone else.
You're going back a
and I
while,
don't know.
but-
And this is all talk. We're all obviously like everyone else looking outside in, but
well, of course. But when you look at Cody Walker and in himself, he's supposed to be a senior player in the club. And, mate, as soon as he gets the shits, the whole team drops.
yeah.
They all follow what he does. But, as you say, the naughty kid in the class, and I don't know.
Does it just is now the Adam Reynolds thing just 2020 hindsight later this far on that he was probably the one?
He probably was the one. He probably
At least knew
I
how to
reckon
talk
that's
to
their
them.
biggest loss.
you see the way he talks on the field. Every time you've seen him out there, he is a general that pulls the blokes in the line and tells them where they need to be. Yes, pretty sad state of affairs for Souths, considering with the predictions at the start of the year. And I don't know. I guess we just move on. We don't really know enough
Yeah, I
to be
suppose
able
we're
to
just talking
comment too
shit
much.
really as far in, but disappointing because, well, we were the only ones really I saw all preseason actually said, hang on a minute, we're not that bullish on them. What everyone else saying, you're the top 4 team. We didn't think that at all. And you can go back and look at our season preview.
Yeah, I had them 9th, I think, but at the moment they're looking like a bottom 4 team, and something's going to have to dramatically change for that to be any different, I think.
Anything else catch your eye on or off the field for the last weekend? Before we get to the games and...
No, not particularly. The halves for Newcastle were good, which is probably the change that we were calling for instead of the one that they made a few weeks ago. I think that really suits that side a lot better, and we'll get to that when we touch on those teams. But this first game that we're about to talk to, this was
a cracker.
Oh mate, it was fantastic. Defence out the window and just a full-on attack from both teams for a good 60 or 70 minutes of this game.
34-32 Storm over the Broncos. I wouldn't go as far to call it an all-time classic, Gary, but it was one of the most entertaining games you'll see. Obviously, when nearly 70 points are scored in the space of 80 minutes, and both teams had their heads in front for 10 minutes, then fell behind and clawed back momentum. I think it was, as I keep saying, it's the entertainment business, and I was thoroughly entertained for 80 minutes here.
Absolutely.
I did fall. I'm going to just mute you, Brent, while you shove food in your gob, and put you back on when we get to the next game. I suggested on the preview show that looking at a combination of wingers is the way to go, and all 4 ended up scoring.
All 4 of them?
Unfortunately, I didn't play all 4 of them. No, I threw Harry Grant in with a couple others, but didn't.
Right.
We never really ducked out.
No, didn't.
Close to line anyway. What did the stats say, though?
We had 6 tries to 5 out of 6 conversions played, 5 out of 5 for the Storm, 1 out of 1 penalty attempt for Brisbane, 16-18 at half-time, 85% completion played, 86%, 202 plus running metres and 145 plus post-contact metres for the Melbourne side, 6 line breaks to 5, 25 tackle busts to 20, 10 offloads for the Storm, 4 for the Broncos, 5 forced dropouts to 1, 315 tackles played, 340, 8 errors to 7, 7 penalties conceded to 4, 2 ruck infringements against both sides, and 1 inside the 10 against the Broncos. Alessi Katoa with 110 Supercoach points, Jerome Hughes with 108, and Jesse Arthurs with 81.
Where do you start here? You can start anywhere you like, really.
It's a battle of the big dick swingers, really. These two just really confirmed that they are 2 of the better teams in the comp, and if they're not on in defence, they're still going to catch up with you in attack. So good luck. You're going to have to keep them to 18 and hope that they don't, and hope that their defence isn't on for it to be able to beat them. Because these two were clearly showing they're 2 of the best teams in the comp. Defence was optional at times, as I said earlier, but the attack was class at different times. There was some really nice passages of play, and they both threw plenty at each other at the beginning. Melbourne seemed to have the better of the first sort of 10 minutes with field position, but bit of a poor pass there where a couple of players ran into each other, and then Ezra Mam takes an intercept and runs 70-odd metres downfield, and then they scored the tackle after. There was some really nice kicking in this game too. Some beautiful little grubbers in behind the line in the wet conditions, and some nice, cross-field kicks for different players to set up points. But I thought Brisbane were probably flattered a little bit. I know they did score a lot of tries, but there was obviously you go with the intercept for the first try, which could have been a try to Melbourne in that position. The bounce back for Mam again to score directly under the post. Like you put up a 60-metre bomb and the thing bounces back 20 metres straight to your 5'8" who's running through the middle.
They also bombed 2 tries. Like Mariner should have scored. Mariner? Arthur should have scored.
Yeah, when
another one. And
Cobbo could have done it himself and passed it.
And there was the other one where everyone was offside and Smoothie threw it forward.
Come down to a bit of wet weather there too. I think Melbourne probably left a couple of tries out there as well. But
I thought all of Melbourne's spine looked fantastic coming back. Munster looked like he hadn't missed a beat for someone. I think he
really sort of make
he'll get better, but
any incisions, but he was up and about and getting really involved.
And looked, he had his usual spiders on him at times without being explosive. He's always hard to tackle, and he, I thought he looked really good in return. They just didn't quite nail it. But
Hughes nailed it. Hughes was close to the best player on the field. He was fantastic.
And Pappy didn't really get involved as much as he has in the past, but and as I said, and then Harry.
He did play
Harry played a lot of running football, but never darted out in that 20. And obviously because I had him in self-interest, I was watching it, and I can't recall one run close to line where I thought it was just they were screaming for it about 70th minute mark. You sort of just has a duddy or a score, and never really did.
Pappy sort of got involved on that sweep play a bit, and they hit the first man a lot. They were definitely trying to isolate Ezra there on that right edge, which led to Katoa with a couple of tries there. And he got stuck in dummy half a couple of times too there, where he sort of, put himself out of the play. Obviously having to go into dummy half and pass the ball, you're no longer involved in the back line unless it comes back the other way. So a bit circumstantial, but I thought he was still pretty decent. They obviously went with Coates again. That's such a weapon for them. If they can get him one-on-one with the way he jumps over the top of players, like did the old knee in the back again and floating in the air for 30 seconds to take a catch and score. It's really a big one for them. I thought Walters looked okay playing 7 when Reynolds did go off.
Well, Reynolds started the game brilliantly again.
Oh, he was awesome.
Is it safe to say if he stays on the field, they win?
Probably gets him out of it at the back end of this game, yeah. But Melbourne were coming for a fair bit of that. There was only sort of that last 10 minutes where Brisbane really started to put heaps of pressure on the Melbourne Storm in that last 10 minutes. But being that close, Reynolds probably does get him home.
But to your point, yes, Walters was very good. Did he nail a 40-20 or just missed one? He had obviously the floating kick to Mam, and then there's a couple. I thought his long kicking was actually quite good all night.
And he was sort of engaged in the line a little bit too, and playing with some nice short balls to these second rowers. So I thought he was okay in there. The Broncos fought hard. I thought both teams had some crazy luck with like the Coates where the bomb to Coates where he grubbers it back through, and then Hughes manages to score next to the post. And I mentioned the one earlier with Mam with the Walters bomb that went 40 metres. But really, really entertaining attacking football. And obviously wet weather makes it a bit harder to defend. You probably would have liked to see these two teams aim up a little bit harder in defence, but
speaking of defence, well,
there was a couple of soft tries realistically.
And the biggest point of concern for me on the Melbourne side of defence was I thought that Warbrick-Meaney combination was very average at times. I don't know if it was just communication, whether it was a bad night for Warbrick, but he was out of position a lot, and not just being a slug on that ball that popped up for Mam, but they made him look very, very average at times, both turning him around and then just being able to stand him up.
Well, Cobbo was having a really good night as well.
I think
he seems to just get better at centre.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt he's a proper centre. I think Brisbane are the best in the comp at the early shift in a set. They're just happy to get the ball out one or two in the first or second tackle at times and just get it to their wingers and try and play wide. I'm just thinking if there's another team.
Manly'd be up there.
True. Manly definitely do. You're right, definitely do. Back in the day it was South, but back in the, good luck there. And I'm trying to get anyone else that's quite as proactive. But just when they throw the ball wide and just all of a sudden, like teams shoot themselves and Cobbo all of a sudden starts spreading wide, and then if it can pop on wide, they've got very, very fast wingers.
Absolutely.
There was sort of the other couple of takeaways apart from, the other next in line of notes was Carrigan phenomenal again. Did I mention Carrigan was phenomenal again?
He just does not stop that vote. You'd have to hit him with a truck, I reckon, and he'd probably still get back up and keep going. Walters, Jensen and Ricky were pretty good, I thought. Big Ben, Tiakura had a big impact, actually, with carrying the ball anyway.
Actually a bit surprised he's not picked again, to be honest.
Got that try at the back end of the game to get him within striking distance at the back end there. Hard to stop that guy. He's massive. Stags, Cobbo were good in the outside backs there. Arthurs and Mam had very good games. But
Ezra Mam, I know he obviously not quick over 100. Fuck me, he's quick over 20 metres. You'd burn just about anyone in the comp over 20. Obviously 30, 40 onwards a bit. He's very much a sprinter, but
it was probably Mam's
two or
best
three
game of
times
the year, to be honest.
Burnt them clearly for pace, including
the intercept,
the
bomb.
Yeah. But that was real noticeable.
He went down the left edge a few times just off his own bat and went through the centres and provided balls for the outside. And he was probably their best player, realistically. Arthur's finished a couple of times. Nice finishing at times, but that's what wingers are meant to do. So
Exactly.
I thought Pappy had a couple of nice touches. He was a little bit off the ball, as we mentioned earlier. Meany and Munster were good. Kamakamika had a good game. Sean Bloor had one of his best games in a long time. He actually had
close
a
to his
proper
best
crack
game
in the NRL.
in the NRL.
He had a proper crack in this game, and he was good. Welch only played 23 minutes, but it had a good impact. Those 23 minutes he was on the field. Grant, Katoa were pretty good, but Hughes was brilliant. For mine, Hughes was the best player on the field.
Yep, talk us through that. Just a combination of everything, precise kicking, right times to run.
Using his back row so well, just like isolating Ezra Mam on 2-3 different occasions. 2 of them led directly to tries with some really nice short passing. The isolating Coates with that constant kick across the field, and it's pinpoint most of the time. One of those led to tries, and then obviously dived on the rolling ball at the back end of the game as well to score himself a try. So, he's just got him around the field perfectly. His kicking games seems to be getting better and better as well. He's moving right up into that sort of top echelon of long kickers and that bomb across the field. So
I'd be shocked if both these teams aren't in the top 4 at the end of the year. Simple as that.
I would think so.
These two, the Wires, and I'd suggest Penrith, will bounce back pretty comfortably. 3 points Hughes.
2 to Katoa. A couple of really nice tries. Barnstorming over Ezra Mam and running straight past him once. And then I gave Ezra Mam the one. I thought he was really, really good in a beaten side.
Ezra or I had Carrington. Carrigan for one, and honorary mention, man. But to be honest, I had Carrington. That's going to be a thing now. Carrington for 2, but we'll give
Carrigan
2.
1. Yeah.
Give Carrigan 1. See the Dalium scores again this week. You can't get a point unless you're wearing 7 or 1.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
A bit farcical. The big still.
I don't give any points to the forwards. It's just a joke.
Wade Egan got
Bloke
1.
can make 45 tackles, line breaks, tries, and
Wade Egan got 1, and I can't recall another forward getting.
He was the best player on the field
by a long. Yeah, I thought by a space. But anyway, we'll get to that.
Him and Johnson were pretty close, but yeah.
Friday night kicked off 30-26. The Dogs did their best to lose to the Roosters with 11 men in the last half an hour. Odd game. I'll let you do the stats first, and then you tell me what this game was, because do the stats.
5 tries apiece, 4 out of 5 conversions.
I did see this.
How was dinner?
Dinner was all right.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll continue with the stats.
3 out of 5 conversion attempts for the Roosters, 1 out of 1 penalty attempts for the Dogs. A send-off and a sin bin for the Roosters, 26-0 at half-time. 86% completion for the Dogs, 69% for the Roosters. 6 line breaks to 4, 34 tackle busts to 40, 7 offloads to 9, 1 forced dropout played 2, 332 tackles played 315. 7 errors made by the Dogs, 16 by the Roosters, 6 penalties conceded to 5, 5 ruck infringements to 1, 2 inside the 10 against the Bulldogs. Burton with 147 Supercoach points, Manu with 108, and Egan Butcher with 88.
A weird first half, because I want to say the Bulldogs didn't do anything different to what they've done all year. They just did it a little bit better.
Did a bit better.
And the Roosters
and a
fucking
lot
stood there and
faster.
watched it.
They did it a lot faster.
But
And they were more consistent with it too, I think. They were all
but it's what they've been working towards all year. But there's no great change in their gameplay. It's
it
just
wasn't-
the
it
Roosters
wasn't a
were
big change.
particularly average on those edges.
Burton was a little more direct, and the
I'll
leg
say that,
speed
yeah.
on both sides of their defensive line speed and their leg speed in attack was much quicker than it has been.
What'd you make of the first half? Yeah, go have at it.
Oh, well, it's pretty hard to explain the entirety of the game, but Roosters really killed themselves in the first half, like ill discipline and errors. They made so many errors in that first sort of 20 minutes of this game, and they just shot themselves in the foot. And pressure, they're putting pressure on themselves, and then the Dogs added to it, as I said, with I thought really good line speed in attack and defence and up tempo. Burton was probably a little bit more concise in his decisions. He was making the right decision a lot more often than what he has done previously. And it really comes back to that. You've heard it now for a couple of weeks about Matty John's advice to him, whether just get the ball to kick out and let him go down a sideline if your running game's not on, or run it yourself. And you had some really incisive runs in the first half to cause problems there. The Roosters' forward pack didn't really aim up early in this game either. Like the Dogs were pushing them backwards, which you don't really see the Dogs do very often.
No, but I think the Dogs just they were very consistent in that first half. They didn't lose their heads.
No, 100%.
They stuck with it, and yeah, I don't know what happened in the second half, but in the first half they were amazing. Like, just to keep their head, keep it simple.
Yeah,
Well, that's sort of what the point I was making. They didn't change, like, they didn't go away from anything they'd been doing. It just so happened that they used their strike a bit better.
That's
And
right.
I think
Obviously, the errors.
to your point, Burton's not his decision maker, but his support play was very, very good in that first half too. So.
That's right. Well, I think it was a team effort across the board. They were that first half. They just did what they needed to do, and they did it well. So it wasn't anything spectacular, but it was enough to.
Well,
you'd
30
think,
points on, yeah.
Yeah, well, you'd think it'd be enough to put 50 on by the end of the game, but you know,
It was the tempo that really that got the Roosters on the back foot. The speed that they were playing the ball and getting across the advantage line, and some really nice selective short passing. Kickow had probably his best game in a year and a half, 2 years. Like, he was destructive on that left
probably
edge.
his best game for the Bulldogs.
He put some really nice footwork on as well. He was beating centres with footwork and running inside
He's come
and
back.
outside.
I think he's come back in real.
He's
good
been very
form.
good this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely he has.
That's it. And well, you know, when we get to the second half with Tedesco, anyway, don't go up against Kickow, up against his hip anyway. He just runs straight over the top.
Yeah.
But they copped 2 HIAs and a send off in the space of 10 minutes.
Yeah.
As well. Like, that's a massive fucking dent to put in any side. You get 2 blokes HIA'd for the game and a send off in the space of 10 minutes. That's going to rattle any side.
I feel like that game there was a HIA every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there were still players on the
the
field.
start of the weekend ominous first of the weekend, and the 3 plays that went were 2 of their best and their halfback, who can be one of their best. Then second half, it all swung around. They just came out and...
Well, Dogs were holding. Like, the Dogs, to me, really felt like they were just like, oh, we've got the points on the board. All we have to do is hold a straight line, and we'll do enough here to defend our way to a win.
Yeah, it's almost like they got complacent in that second half, didn't they?
Yeah, they really weren't moving off their line. So the Roosters were making 8-10 metres with every touch of the ball because they weren't coming up and at them. They were just sitting back trying to hold a defensive line. Roosters started playing really direct, especially with Keary. He started to actually go into the line and draw defenders and start a bit of short passing and kicking, which really split them open there 2 or 3 times in the space of 10 or 15 minutes.
I don't think it's coincidence that Keary's best game happened without Walker either.
And Tedesco.
And Walker's best game last week was without Keary. So, I think they're...
So the sombrero's not going so well? Is that what you're saying?
Obviously not.
The halves don't gel. They haven't done ever since they've been together. They don't. I've never seen a game where Keary and Walker have worked together to put a team away. Like, it's either one of them doing something in the outside backs, or Walker doing stuff for himself, or for a short kick for someone else on the inside of him. But
well, they're such good players in their own right. Like, but if they could just come together, they could be. Brilliant.
How often do you see a Walker and a Keary run around, or a drop back inside with another angle provided by somebody else? Like, you just don't see them play together at all. But Keary was really direct, and he was the orchestra of pretty much everything that was good in that second half for the Roosters. I thought Crichton really stepped up in that second half too. He was starting to make a bit of damage down that left-hand edge for the Roosters.
On the Crichton thing, like, is it a move? Is it a good move? Like, I know we're only 4 or 5 games in, but
For Stephen.
I was talking about
Stephen.
Angus.
Oh, you're talking about Angus. Sorry, my bad. My bad.
The other Crichton.
Sorry, Penrith fan of me.
Yeah.
Time will tell. It's too easy, too hard. He's playing fullback this week, which is interesting. But I don't think he's been bad. I just don't think he's had the opportunity. He doesn't get... He hasn't had a lot of the space and time that he gets at Penrith.
No, that's right.
And he's always a part of a link play to get to the winger. I don't think he's... We haven't seen individual brilliance from him, and I don't think it's his fault either. If that
Time will
makes
prove
sense.
with the fullback
But no, he's
position
been
if that's like he's a fullback.
Well, he's playing right side too, isn't he?
No, he's outside kick out.
He's outside kick out?
Yeah, he's
He's
outside
he's
kick
left
out.
side. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Probably didn't see him more often now in this one then.
just looking at his fullback
I think
experience
his
at
kick out
Penrith.
goes across, like,
Back
burrows
infield.
further in, or he comes back out rather than holds up for him.
Well, it's actually good to see Kikau actually be able to move again. Like, the last year or so, you haven't really seen much of him.
Pretty upright.
Yeah,
running
so
pretty straight.
I think they've given him a little bit more leeway now on the field, which is good for him because that's what he needs. He needs that space
absolutely.
to be able to run inside, outside, wherever he wants to be.
Yeah, the big takeaway for mine was the line speed just completely disappeared in the defence for the Bulldogs, and they were just sitting back waiting, and it almost cost them the game.
Yeah, well, it was almost like they thought they'd already had the game won after the first half and just gave up.
And especially once you had then the next, the hip drop, which is probably the most ridiculous hip drop I can recall.
Yeah, I don't know how the hell that ends up with 10 minutes in the bin.
We saw certain other people stay on the field.
Look, he was jumping over the ruck to try and make a tackle, and he grabs the bloke back of his shoulders. I know he ends up on the back of his feet, but
Yeah.
That's
Well, Townsend stayed in the field in the Sunday game, and that was
No, he
twice.
got sent.
There was another one similar to Townsend.
Townsend
And they
got
didn't even
sent,
check it.
and that wasn't even him either. He was on the back of the legs, but the bloke in front of him pulled him back. And anyway,
There was another. Was it the Parrot? There was one where that he did leave his feet and he stayed in the field.
yes.
Are we getting ahead of ourselves here? Or?
Yeah, it might be the Parrot game. Doesn't matter. Move on.
Yes, the Dogs almost got run down. I thought Radley was good until he obviously got sent for 10 minutes. Cheese was decent. Nathaniel White and Egan Butcher were awesome off the bench for the Roosters. They really made an impact in that second half, and they actually showed up their respective front row partners in this game, to be honest. Angus and Tupu had very good games, but it was Kiri and Manu that really got them back and doing what they were doing. We didn't even mention Manu earlier. He's some of his touches were brilliant again. He just getting one-on-one against just about anyone in the comp, and there's a good chance he's going past them, or at least pushing them over.
He very rarely, even when he gets given a ball without anywhere to go, he very rarely gets tackled first go.
Yeah,
He
100%.
manages to get away and.
Yeah, they were great for the Roosters. I thought Taff was actually quite good early until he got KO'd, obviously. He was really getting in the right position in the back line to provide us, provide a running threat. The back five all worked hard. Like they did plenty of work coming out of their back end, but didn't really light the field up at any time. Curran was very good. He's been quite good for him this year. He does heaps of work in the middle of the field that goes unnoticed. But yeah, it was Kickout and Burton that won the Dogs this game.
So I've just seen a rumour, but I haven't had it confirmed. So hold on.
Oh, you got to mention Max King and Hughes too.
Hughes was
first time
both
out.
were
He was actually given a fair chunk of minutes and made a really good impact. And King again just works his backside out every week.
So back to Taff just for a second. Like if he wasn't knocked out, maybe I think he was on target for one of his better games.
Yeah, 100%.
Like he was on fire before that.
He was all over the place, getting in the right positions, providing an attacking threat.
And unfortunately, what happened? But he was looking like it could have been one of his best games ever.
Yeah, no, I think he's actually pretty much made that one spot his own.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it. No. We'll just see what Crichton brings to the table this week. But it suits. He's, I guess, the one straightening point when because they're very happy to go left to right, right to left, and he's the one that will actually
Pop
go
up
into the
on that
line or
inside
add that
shoulder
extra, add the extra body in the line.
Step off the right, and back in.
Final word on the Roosters, like. What do you make of this season? Maybe it's just time to just treat them like we did last year and just go, you know what, you can't touch them in terms of tipping them.
I think they got a lot of work to do to be back where they were 4 or 5 years ago. They're not there.
It almost
The
feels
consistency in their forward pack's their biggest
I was about to say, it
issue
almost
for mine.
feels like their forwards aren't with us.
Like Lindsay Collins has been good most weeks. This wasn't his best game, but most weeks Collins been on the field. He's been pretty good, but
Terrell May's probably been their best, and
and then they give him 20 minutes or something this week, like 15 minutes. I think he got this week.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was about. I don't know if he's carrying a niggle or what. Nat Butcher wasn't there, which doesn't help. Didn't play this week, but between Tupanua, Angus, Egan Butcher's been pretty average most of the season up until this week when he was very good. But their forward pack is. They're getting beaten in the forwards most weeks at the moment. So
which doesn't help anything else because then they panic and we know what happens.
Start
when they
going
panic.
sideways and
Yeah, so recap, what did we say? 3 points to
Burton,
kick out, and then 1 to give it to Kiri probably. I'd say.
Well, surely Burton gets one with a hat trick, gets 3 points, and kick out with his runs. So.
Yeah. It's a 3-2 for us. Main event Friday night. The Knights 30 over the Dragons 10 in some torrential conditions at times.
It didn't stop either.
No.
That was full on heavy.
Stats barn.
5 tries to 2, 5 out of 5 conversions, played 1 out of 2 for the Dragons, 24-10 at half time, 76% completion, played 65%, which is pretty good in considering the weather that was there. 6 line breaks to 4, 21 tackle busts to 25, 3 offloads to 10, 214 plus kicking metres for Newcastle, which I thought was actually a pretty big part of why Newcastle were on the front foot for a big part of this game. 1 forced dropout from both sides, 367 tackles played, 366, 12 errors to 18, 2 penalties conceded to 5, 2 ruck infringements against Newcastle, 1 inside the 10 against both sides. Ponga with 117 Supercoach points, Lomax with 112, and Dylan Lucas with 93.
Oh, you remember?
Speaking of Lomax, how good was that pass? Oh, my God. That's like a dream pass. Like, I know we're not there yet, but wow. That was... I was speechless. Speechless.
In Dad.
1 foot inside, just inside the sideline.
Yeah.
That's that flick pass that he's been thrown into touch for 4
4
years.
years, yeah.
Exactly.
And he's thrown
Finally
it back
paid
in
off.
field and it's hit Hunt on the chest.
Mate,
20-metre flick pass
Yeah.
back into the field.
Yeah.
It was pretty outstanding. You don't see that happen very often
It
during
was
the
good
year.
to watch. Very good to watch. I did get a semi-boner.
Good work. No. And that's what footy should do to you. Have
Absolutely it
you...
should.
do you remember the rest of this game, Brent, or we leave this to Barn to break it
Oh,
down?
no, we'll leave it to Barn
Yeah.
because I did get quite inebriated by the end of this game.
First 10 minutes was sort of back and forth, but the Dragons sort of shot themselves in the foot again. Errors, 3 errors and a penalty, I think it was, in the first 10 minutes of this game, which let the Knights have a fair chunk of the field position at the start. Nobody could really get their attack in order. It was sort of going 1-2 passes and the ball would hit the ground, or someone would get tackled and the ball would slide out in the rainy conditions. But some of these grubbers that Cogger put in, he was aiming for the puddles by the end of this game. It came from the first try with Hastings, scored, he just put it into this massive puddle and it stopped. And he did it again later in the game as well, which I'm pretty sure provided a try. But his long kicking game was fantastic in this, and Hastings helped out as well coming back. And that really that held the field position for Newcastle to be able to be down there for such a long time. The second try of the game was that ridiculous flick pass that we saw, 20-metre flick pass. It was around the back too, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was around the back, and it just it was unbelievable.
Harlem Globetrotters shit to score that second try.
Well, I had a sneaky little multi on with
Lomax.
Hastings in there, and,
Did you really?
and he got in first, and I
Very
was like,
good.
"Here we go!" And no, it didn't
Hastings
go much
Hunt.
further.
It's always good when you get
First 2
the
tries would have been
when
good.
you get the tricky one first.
That's
But
it. Yeah, well,
Alas,
the last couple of weeks I've got the tricky one up, and nothing else to follow. So
I thought Hastings really helped Newcastle, slowed it down, played a little bit slower at the line, and his passing was a lot more controlled than what we've seen out of Cogger and Gamble in the last couple of weeks. Just gave him a much more direction on exactly where the play was heading, and everyone sort of fell in line, especially the forwards, of exactly where the ball was going. Brayley was doing the same out of hooker, which obviously helps. His first game starting, and I thought that was really pivotal for the Knights, actually, for that first 20 minutes, getting the forwards onto the ball and getting that roll through the middle of the field. So.
I honestly think that halves pairing they had last week it's moving forward. That's probably the best.
oh, to be what they did, they won't change now.
Me and Adrian both blew up when Hastings got dropped. To be honest, with Gamble, Gamble left there with Cogger. It didn't seem to make sense for mine. But if you're going to be playing Gamble in this side, it's 14 at best. But
The thing is, the excuse was they're looking for spark, but it's not his job to bring the spark, Hastings. It's his job to do the slowing down and dragging the line and create space for the spark.
getting Ponga the ball, at the
which
right
is number
time.
one. Which,
And I think he
lo
did
and
his
behold,
job. I think he did his job
absolutely,
very
yeah.
well on the weekend. So
yeah.
it was definitely a good halves pairing, and I think they need to stick with it if they're going to move forward.
Ponga threw a couple of beautiful cutouts in the torrential rain as well. The first one hitting Tawala to score over in the corner. But, the they just controlled this. Newcastle just seemed to control this game from in most positions of the field, especially through the middle. Dragons started pretty strong, but then sort of lost their way a little bit, and Newcastle took control in the forwards, which you don't see a lot out of them recently. But I thought, Daniel came on and had an impact in the middle of the field.
Led the run meters actually for the forwards. So.
Dylan Lucas had a bit of an impact playing sort of bit of back row and bit of centre out there because Gay Guy and Frizzell both missing, but he scored himself a double out there and was fantastic. Apart from obviously we saw there's a bit of luck that sort of went the Dragons' way. I thought early to get a couple of those points, but I thought they were pretty outclassed in most positions of the field in this game.
We briefly mentioned Ponga, but all systems go now. I think he's warming into it. I think it's
looking likely. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that they have the right setup to set him up for the rest of the year now if they're going to stick with this combination. Kai Pearce-Paul continues to grow into his work here.
His defensive contact's a little iffy at times, but
I don't know if he always looks, because he's so big, it doesn't always look as clean as
he sort of bounces
else,
off the first tackle a little bit, but he's running the ball. He's fantastic. If he develops an offload, he'll be one of the most dangerous back rowers going around. He's really hard to control when he's got the ball. Both teams did sing the ball around a fair bit and was taking chances, which was interesting considering the weather that they were playing.
Considering the conditions, that was some pretty torrential rain.
Yeah, but they were both pretty happy to put in some cutout passes and try to play with a bit of footwork and in the puddles. But
I think the
Dragons' best thing, the Dragons still put in effort. I know it was 30-10 until the end, but they were still coming. They were doing their best that they could, but they were pretty well outclassed by the end of the game.
Commentary on Sloan probably not getting involved or defensively not being there again. I haven't actually studied if there was a suggestion that will be changed this week, but I think he's still named at one, but we'll see if that changes later in the week.
Yeah, it's been a big knock on him for his since he started his defensive positioning at fullback. He wasn't too bad last week. We mentioned that he seemed to be getting a little bit better, but this week, whenever there was points scored or kicks put in behind, he was metres away from the football.
Is there anything else you want to mention from the Dragons or worth mentioning?
DeBellum was very good again. He does plenty of work. Lee Lua had a pretty good game, I thought, on that left edge. He was sort of their go-to when they were looking to try and spark something. They'd get him a bit of early ball and try to play him down that left edge for them. With Lomax and Hunt, they were their two best players. But
end of the day, I think all you can really take away is Knights won. They got a few things right. They got through the wet game, and it is what it is. Yep.
Yeah, Pearce-Paul and Elliott were decent. Tawala finished quite well a couple of times. But yeah, that's came back to Ponga. Ponga was the absolute difference. Hastings and Cogger set up a pretty decent platform for him, but he was the one scoring tries and setting up tries when their points were coming. So
3 points, Ponga. Are you going to go to these Newcastle halves next, or are you going somewhere else?
No, I went Lucas.
Okay.
I thought Lucas scored himself a double, ran some really good lines on that right edge, and then I had Cogger or Hunt actually for the 1 point, but
okay.
I thought Hastings did quite a good job in distributing the ball, but I just thought Cogger had a bit more impact with the kicking game.
Give it to Cogger. Go with them. Any thoughts on that?
No, I'd just go back to that Lomax pass, mate. That's got to be try of the week. Or assist of the week. Try assist of the week, we'll call it.
There were some good tries this week.
Yeah, try assist of the week I'll go with.
All right. We'll go with that. Fair enough. We'll leave it on that.